He's giving them the business.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's got it. Goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. It's going to win the football. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone. It's a touchdown. And the Gators have won the game.
To the 40, Herman Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown official.
What's up, everyone? Another season, regular season in the books. Welcome to College Football Extravaganza.
Dude, too fast. It went by too fast.
Always
It
does.
was taken for granted. This is the last season of college football that we are ever going to see be this way. It was taken for granted. Not many people are recognizing it now, but this season was taken for granted.
It was last of the Pac-12. Moment of
Last of
silence.
Power
for
Five.
Dude, RIP. Dude, and I know we already talked about it, but what a hell of a – or no, we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about the conference championship. What a hell of a way to exit it.
Yeah.
It feels like it happened a million years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to dive right into that, we obviously we saw where we were on last episode. Justin had a bold strategy, and you know what? It paid off. It paid off. He's now tied with me. I'm not sure what the actual numbers are. Justin definitely broke those down in the chat. But Davis and I were on the duck, and Justin was stuck riding Penix all year long. Couldn't get off of it.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you kind of have to. I'm dying with that prediction. You know, like I predicted them a week before the season even started that they would make playoffs, and why would I not ride with them? I mean, I'm not going to change any reason not to be riding with them. Like just because Oregon may have looked stronger this last half, man, I knew this team was going to be good, and they came out and they did their right part. And Bo Nix, he had a bad first half, and they came back. They came back, and that was what made that game so great. Just once again, everyone thought because it was a neutral site that Oregon would win, but Michael Penix and the boys, they held on an exciting finish.
Yeah, no, and an exciting finish it was. I mean, you got Oregon coming down there and making it a game. They scored what in 30 seconds, and you know
it took two plays, and they literally left like 2.5 minutes left on the clock, which with timeouts that ideally could get you back on the field. Like you scored with the amount of time that you possibly needed to give yourself to give you any shot at getting back on the field, but defense couldn't do it.
If Oregon had got the ball back, I think they would have won. That momentum was with them.
And Bo Nix would win the Heisman if that were the case.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. Penix, some would say that he had a chance to win the Heisman, and he was also my prediction to win that in that same time where I predicted Washington to make playoffs. I predicted Penix to win the Heisman. He won't win the Heisman. He'll be a finalist, which is cool still. His stats just weren't very strong those last 4 or 5 games of the season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But overall, Washington looking good and proved us wrong. I mean, Oregon did look like the better team, but maybe that's just because they weren't playing Washington. That's what it appears to be. So Washington proved them wrong again, and they make the playoffs.
They make the playoffs, and deservingly so. I mean, undefeated. For the most part, had an amazing year. I mean, you had a couple of close games, but you managed to pull it through every single time. Michael Penix, I would say 80% of the year was an outstanding quarterback, putting up insane stats. And it had a strong finish. I would argue that if he had stayed consistent throughout the year, like he would probably be the no doubt winner of the Heisman. But he had like 3 games there towards the end where he really fell off. And then it was like the last 2 games where he brought it back together. Because I thought he played phenomenal in the conference championship game. And they walked away the winner, to where you could argue that Penix could win the Heisman. And maybe we'll get into that discussion here in a little bit. But Penix, in this Washington team, I think that it's going to be a fun matchup against Texas. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
it's going to be a really fun matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, it was. It's really cool to see that these matchups are really unique. I think they're awesome. I think it's going to be really good, just the way it develops in the playoffs. The Texas Washington is my personal favorite, just because those teams are so unpredictable with who's going to show up. But it's going to be a great offensive matchup either way. But when it comes to the Heisman in general, odds are pointing towards JD, which it makes sense. From previous trends and previous seasons, whoever won the AP Player of the Year, they won the Heisman usually. Whoever the betting odds
Not
were,
always the case, but and
betting
same with the
odds,
Maxwell Award. Like not
betting
always the
odds,
case.
betting odds, betting odds are favoring Jaden Daniels. Betting odds are usually never wrong. Simple as that. Betting odds are usually never wrong.
I want to say this about I want to go back to Bo Nix, kind of going back to the conference championship game. You saw him on the bench with 2.5 minutes to go. They just scored that long touchdown, and he knew, all right, it's out of my hands at this point. All I can do is sit on the bench, towel over my head, and just pray I get back on the field. That's the best I can do. And so he's sitting there, and camera went to him all the time. It felt like every other play they were going back to Bo Nix, towel over his head, looking down, just hoping he can get on the field. Game is over. He was in that same exact position, what felt like for another 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
and he eventually got up and congratulated Michael Penix, but I really felt for Bo after that loss.
Both quarterbacks.
I felt for him so hard.
I did too, but he did have a despicable interception after Michael Penix threw his interception.
Yep.
Oregon gets the ball.
It was a random one.
Yeah, they had They had the momentum, and then
You blew it!
There's no other way for me to say it. He threw it. Okay, the guy was out of bounds. The defensive player was out of bounds, and he came
back in.
So maybe his field of view was blinded or something like that. Throws that interception, gives the ball right back to Washington. That was a huge momentum killer there for Oregon. But
I've always thought it was kind of shit that. I always thought it was kind of shit that defenders that go out of bounds, can come back in the play and intercept a ball like that. But on offense, they can't go out of bounds unless they were forced out of bounds. They can't just go out of bounds and come back in and catch the football.
They can't establish themselves.
Well, if I get shoved out of bounds as a receiver, I can come back in and play. But if I ran out of bounds, I ran out of bounds. A defender can run out of bounds all they want and come back in.
Joey Two Guns, that's my point. If you're going to throw it out of bounds, chuck that thing into the second row of the stands. Give
a guy a souvenir.
Yeah, so that one sucks. But, I mean, overall, one of the more entertaining championship games of the weekend, if I do say so myself, maybe the best one.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard, entertainment-wise, I'd have to say this one was the best one. But overall, the factors that played into it, we all know it was the one in Atlanta for sure.
I mean, yeah. As far as coming down, I guess, to the last minute, though, I know Georgia did try and make a comeback there, and we can talk about this. This is a game that you also got another one up on us. You had to go Alabama.
Yep.
I mean,
I knew Bama was going to win this one. I knew it.
It's a comfortable bet knowing that Alabama has beat Georgia in the SEC championship every single time. So.
I mean, Saban hasn't lost since the Gators in 2008. That was my entire point. Is Saban doesn't lose this game, doesn't lose in Atlanta. He just doesn't.
And not only did Alabama win, but they looked like the better team pretty much the whole game
from the get-go.
Yeah. So it's hard. I know we're gonna get to it, but Alabama did the Gator fans a favor and knocked both of the arch rivals out of the playoff, and it sucks, man. I know they're salty. Alabama looked good, but what do we think? Now? FSU goes in, beats a top 15 Louisville team, and doesn't do it in pretty fashion, but their defense, held them to 3 points. 10 point. What was the final score in that game? Was it 10?
It was 16-6. Something like that.
So,
I mean,
defense.
So here's where Florida State, and this is why I took Florida State. I believe in their defense. I think you lose your star quarterback, and obviously that cost them their season. in a whole nother way that we thought. Like, it didn't cost them losses. It literally cost them an opportunity, at least an opportunity at a championship. But no surprise. But I thought going into this game that defensively, they're going to at least they're going to do their part to lock them down. They're going to do their part to get them just enough to win. But then you look at what their offense did. Eventually, they had to go to the Wildcat. They were just so inept in moving the ball passing-wise. They had to move to the Wildcat, which was smart, by the way.
That's how you do it. It scored them a touchdown.
It was smart because it allowed them to change it up and throw Louisville off a little bit. And like you said, it scored them a touchdown like on the first try they did it. So moving forward, though, like, I don't blame the committee for looking at this as a whole picture. And you look at Alabama's win, they beat the number 1 team in the nation. Even Vegas didn't have Alabama going to the playoff. But you look at the whole picture and you ask yourself, okay, if you were to put Florida State against Alabama today, the Florida State team that we saw against the Alabama team that we saw, who would win that game? I think everyone in the world, minus FSU fans, would say that Alabama would win that ball game. And I think that the college football committee got it right by leaving out Florida State in this circumstance. It's tough. Like, if I'm a Florida State fan, this is gut-wrenching. This sucks. You work your ass off the entire year. I'm thinking about, like, the seniors. I'm thinking about Jordan Travis. I'm thinking about the defense. Like, these guys who were out there healthy, worked their ass off, finished undefeated, and you lose one player that is a key factor in how you perform, and you are left out of the playoff. It sucks for them, but I do think it was the right decision, because guess what we would probably have if Florida State did play in the playoff? They'd get their shit kicked in. And then everyone would be like, oh, see, Alabama should have played in the game. At least we would have had a better game. I think that if you're not a Florida State fan, you're getting a better football game with Alabama in the game.
And you're free to think so. And we don't know. Here's Heather Dench. She was on the selection committee. Here, this is by Get Up ESPN and ESPN. People need to know why Florida State was number 5, period. They averaged 3.4 yards per play against Louisville, and the score was tied at 3 in the third quarter, while Alabama was beating the committee's number 1 team. The selection committee watched football games together and saw how they unfolded, and then resorted to their protocol, which allowed them to look forward and ask the question, can Florida State win the national title without Jordan Travis? And then Paul Feinbaum's on there too. Now, I think any other year in the college football playoff, minus maybe like 2014, you could have made this argument. But now, when you got a year where Alabama barely beats Auburn, you got a very defensive Michigan team whose offensive numbers against Iowa were not that good. Florida State actually had better offensive numbers against Louisville than Michigan had against Iowa. So you're going to sit here and say, we know for a fact that Florida State couldn't beat any one of these teams? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it is the right call, but at the same time, you got to ask that question. When you're looking at an Alabama team that was a miracle away from losing to a bad Auburn team, I don't know.
It is a fair argument. Like, I think with Florida State, like, the biggest thing that they can do right now is beat Georgia. Because Georgia, they're not happy about being in the Orange Bowl. Florida State definitely is not happy about being in the Orange Bowl. But if there's a team that could at least go out there and prove something, it is Florida State. They will have a healthy second-string quarterback. And you know what? And if Florida State does lose that game, they could easily chalk it up to being, well, obviously it would have been different if we were in the playoff. Like, we were upset that we were in the Orange Bowl.
They're absent Johnny Wilson now, but this is getting to the politicians.
And they'll be absent a couple other players, I'm sure, that are going to declare for the draft. And, Jared Verse might be one of them.
Yeah, maybe. Former Governor Rick Scott came out, wrote a letter asking for the committee's data and the protocol for picking. Donald Trump taking to Truth Social. Florida State was treated very badly by the committee. They became the first Power 5 team to be left out of the college football playoffs. Really bad lobbying effort. Let's blame Ron DeSanctimonious.
Wrong.
Very wrong. This is
And then
going.
Ron DeSantis is over here like, I got $1 million set aside for Florida State to sue the college football playoff committee.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta love it when politicians get involved in this shit.
I love it. I love everything.
They throw out the wildest shit.
I mean, it's Florida. We love football here in Florida, and if anything, I want politicians to stand up for our teams. You know,
Jimmy Petronas came in, who's a Florida State grad himself, and he was like saying stuff along the lines of, as the chief financial officer, I am more than willing to cut a check to make sure like we get answers to this.
I mean, the Florida State AD wrote a scathing letter to the committee as well. So, if you're a Florida State fan involved with Florida State and you're not banging the drum right now, then you're not really a Florida State fan. But you can also be right and wrong at the same time. I feel like we got the best playoff.
So basically, Georgia, the best thing that you can do right now is, or not Georgia, Florida State, the best thing that you can do right now is beat Georgia. And then that's like the best argument that you could actually have to say, yeah, we could have competed. But what sucks about these games now moving forward, and I won't be long about this, is that these New Year's Six bowl games, I feel like most of the games are full of teams who are pissed off they didn't get to the playoff. And like, that's going to be the Orange Bowl. Like, Georgia's pissed, Florida State's pissed. Like, you're going to have players that are in this game that aren't going to, like, they're either not going to play in it at all because they're going to go to the draft, or they're going to transfer because that's, like, 4,000 players are in the transfer portal right now. Like, it's unfortunate. I think that's why I'm looking forward to the 12-team playoff next year, is that you're going to have a lot more meaningful football moving forward.
Justin, I know you're dying to say something here.
I mean, look, guys, it's what was all right. We have seen this year after year where there's just been, look, first of all, I will say this. I had plenty of bias for Florida State not to make the playoffs. I'm going to put that on the record right now. Did I think they had the balls to do this? No. I woke up at 5 a.m. I went to bed at 5 a.m. on Saturday or Sunday morning. Woke up at 1 p.m. Didn't think the rankings would be out that early also. I thought that was like a 6 o'clock.
We were thinking about doing a show. We were going to
do it like 11.
Yeah, they can't. And so I wake up and I get a text from people like, who do you think is going to be in? I'm like, oh, well, they're going to put this team in, they'll put FSU in. And then I'm like, what do you mean? Like, they just dropped them like an hour ago and like they put Alabama in. I was like, what do you mean? I'm still waking up like half asleep and I'm checking this and I'm like, holy shit. They did it. I didn't think they had the balls to do this, right? But they put themselves first, which they should. Last year, the championship was an embarrassment. Every single year that we've had the playoffs, there's been a blowout of 4 scores or more. Like, and you have to be tired of that. Like, you that has to be like bone crushing to you, who's trying to like revolutionize college football. That like, oh, we're putting the 4 best teams in. We should get the 3 best games, right? And that should be an ultimate championship. It's just like, why? Like, we understand why FSU is upset. We understand where the playoff committee is also coming from. Just someone had more say of putting in what they deserve over what someone else did deserve. And that was just the committee put themselves first because they didn't want to go down this road again because they're tired of it. They hate it. They don't want it to happen anymore. And it's literally just made the playoffs look like crap. And they wanted the 4-year to go out with a bang. And I guess that's just the way that you can look at it. I've seen all sorts of just comments made. I think my favorite is I'm on a lot of college like accounts where, whether it be like Barstools or just in general, like Twitter's, just seeing a lot of college kids post, right? And my favorite is just seeing a lot of not even casuals, just fake fans. Like they just go to FSU and they're just like copy and pasting tweets and stats that they saw. like trying to like be clever, and that's the stuff that annoys me. I'm just like, man, don't even know ball. You don't even know ball. Like it's just like you don't know ball. You don't know how it goes. You don't know how it works. That's annoying. It's annoying.
The conspiracy theories are being floated out there for sure, and I mean rightfully so. I'd be pissed too if this was Florida, but at the same time, I saw something about them talking about how the committee was meeting and holding votes on the night of the playoffs after the games. You know, they were voting, and then the next day they only held 3 votes. So there must have been something that happened overnight that caused the committee to sway, you know, in such a way for Alabama. But to me, I'm thinking of like conventions I've been to and political stuff. It's like, you know what happens at conventions? You know what happens with committees when they get together? They end business. And then after they end business, they hit the bar, they hit the pool deck, and then they start talking. And that's where the actual business gets done. You know, maybe someone called in and lined someone's pockets. You should find out. I'd love to know. But most likely,
they bleed crimson and white, and they come out of the city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. All right.
Yeah,
you gotta know. That's all you need to know there, brother man.
Yeah, you find any midnight flights from private jets from Tuscaloosa to somewhere in Texas, wherever the committee was sitting. And then you might get
something that should always be looked into is like some of the stuff that happens like overnight in college football, whether that be like Lincoln Riley getting hired or not, like just like bam right after getting blown out by Oklahoma State a couple years ago. That's some stuff that should be looked into because some freaky stuff be happening while the fans are drunkenly passed out from their day of watching football. You know,
mean that's like Texas A&M having Mark Stoops land in College Station and then going, "Hey, never mind, turn your plane around, go back to Lexington." Yeah, but I do want to show this because in honor, this is your in-state rival, Florida State. In honor of Florida State not being in the playoffs, Miami posts this Canes Universe and Red Cup Miami posts this in kind of retaliation mode right here. This was an ode to the 2000 Miami team that got snubbed by the BCS system. And you got to ask yourself, if you're a college football fan now, would you rather a committee, a human being pick? That was the whole conundrum with the BCS system was we had
the computer.
The BCS system was wild.
Yeah, so check this out.
During the process of running the table, we beat the #1 team and the #2 team.
We felt like we beat Florida State. It was a no-brainer that we should be playing Oklahoma in the national championship, and it was in Miami. We deserve the chance to play in the Orange Bowl. And hopefully they won't take our dreams away.
You can see on ESPN the BCS, the computer poll, it was teeter-totter, back and forth, back and forth.
End of the season came down, they announced who was playing for the national championship.
Few thought Florida's election was bizarre. Take a look at that state's simmering football controversy.
And sure enough, they came back and bit us in the ass.
Now, the BCS computers boosted Florida State into tomorrow night's championship game against Oklahoma, even though Miami beat the Seminoles 27-24.
Somehow, somewhere.
In a year.
That was in 2000, right? That was like 2000?
Yep. The year of the Al Gore and George Bush whole debacle in Florida.
Wild election year.
And then Miami goes on to play Florida in the Sugar Bowl, a very good Florida team in 2000. They also trounced Florida that year. Miami trounced them in the Sugar Bowl. So Miami was good. They were good, and they got snubbed. There's been other snubbings. You know, Florida State, you're not the first ones to do it, but Miami shooting some shots fired there, a little payback. And I love a good payback in-state rival from in-state rival. But I don't know. I think if you're Mike Norvell, you gotta talk to your players and say, hey, don't sit out the bowl game. And this is our national championship. You win this, we're going UCF style. I know FSU fans are like, don't claim us, don't compare us to UCF 2017, but it's gonna happen.
And you notice that there are a lot of you look at the transfer portal and stuff. There's like you don't see really anybody from Florida State that is already committed to the transfer portal unless they're a no-name guy. Like I haven't personally noticed any big names from Florida State in the transfer portal. I also haven't noticed anybody say, "All right, I'm declaring for the draft." Now, if I'm wrong, please correct me because I don't watch this shit every day.
Johnny Wilson's sitting out.
Yeah. So Johnny Wilson, that's one big name for Florida State. I mean, you still got Jared Verse. Like, he's potential first-round defensive lineman. Like,
Yeah,
haven't really heard.
He should sit.
I would be surprised if he played in the Orange Bowl. But if he played, you know why he's playing. Like, he's playing because he wants to try and prove something. He wants to at least give his team the best shot possible to try and win this game. I say don't play in it, but
Well, here's my thing about Johnny Wilson sitting down is someone told me this the other day. He's not playing in the Orange Bowl, but he's playing in the Senior Bowl. And to me, it's like
that's common.
I guess so. But at the same time, it's like if you don't play because of injury, you don't want to play. If you're gonna get, I don't know, man. I hate.
The Senior Bowl is a scouting opportunity.
So is the combine. Just wait till the combine. You do that all day. Senior Bowl, it's cold. It's rainy in Alabama. You're probably gonna. It's the Senior Bowl in Mobile is always cold and rainy. Historically, it's a terrible time.
Well, it was shittier when it was at Lad Peebles. Now it's at the new stadium. I haven't been to the new stadium yet, but I can tell you the amount of times going to Lad Peebles, and watching the Senior Bowl was the worst freaking time. I hated going to the Senior Bowl.
At least at Lad Peebles, they put us in a press box. When you're media now, they put you in the fucking stands.
That's right. We were in the press box that one year.
No, like they put you in the damn stands now. They put photographers in the stands. It's horrible. It's horrible.
How are you gonna get a good picture there?
That's what I'm saying. Like what are you going like that? I mean, it's horrible the way that they've done media. I don't know if anyone will ever see that. Like I have had credentials to their outlets for 5 years now, and ever since they moved to South, they've treated media horribly.
Unfortunate. Way to get that out there. We'll clip this up and send it to him. But just to close out
to Nagy. Yeah.
Just to close out on the Florida State topic here, Trevor does have a good point. If Florida State, or not if Florida State, if Louisville doesn't lose to Kentucky, a middle-of-the-pack SEC team, the week before playing Florida State, does Florida State get into the playoff here?
Wait, what?
If Louisville doesn't lose to Kentucky the week before and everything else stayed the same, do you think Florida State gets in, or do you think the committee still leaves them out?
I don't think it changes because Alabama had the more impressive win regardless. They beat an undefeated and #1 Georgia team who really, for the most part, throughout the entire year, Georgia dominated. Georgia never really looked weak throughout the year until they got to the SEC championship game where Alabama just completely silenced them. They make them look non-existent on offense. And it was a close game throughout, but then Alabama pulled away a little bit towards the end and then held on defensively. Like, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters that Louisville lost to Kentucky or if they won. Alabama still had the more impressive win.
That's the argument, the side of the argument I've heard the least. Like I haven't really heard anyone bring up that question of the Kentucky game. Like that's like something I'm not hearing at all. Because I just don't think that was a factor. Like, I just don't think that was a factor. Like, whatever Louisville did was a factor of this. It was always just about FSU, what they had, what they didn't have. You know, I mean, once again, this is still bizarre that this actually happened. I mean, it's the right thing, don't get me wrong, but it's just bizarre that they actually did this.
And then what if Texas, or not Texas, sorry, what if Georgia won? So obviously Alabama isn't in. Obviously Georgia is in. And then you have Texas. Are you still putting Texas in over Florida State? I still think that answer is yes.
That's the argument that should be brought up more. And it's been brought up. But that's the argument that should be brought up more is Texas would still be put in. Which I think is
Florida State,
because I would personally put FSU over Texas. I would put Alabama over Texas, which I know they have the head-to-head matchup, and I get that and all that bullshit. But Texas was not the same team. Alabama was a way different team. That's the part that should make everyone upset is a one-loss conference champion out of the Big 12 got over them.
If anything, blame Texas. Blame Texas for winning. Texas is the reason why this all happened.
Correct. Well, also blame BYU. We blame BYU. We blame the Soakers because they didn't beat Oklahoma State and Oklahoma wasn't facing Texas again in the Big 12. Yep. Blame the Soakers.
And tell Amanda that too. Texas did dominate. We were all on Texas. They did have an impressive win over Oklahoma State. Ollie Gordon getting frustrated on the sidelines, throwing his helmet. I mean, Texas looked good though. They did look good, and so we'll see. I think they could beat Washington.
I am so again. This is another reason why I've said it once. I'll say it again. I am so excited for this matchup. Do y'all remember they played each other last year? They played each other in the Alamo Bowl. Like these two teams have seen each other recently, and so I think that this is going to be. I would like to think it's going to be kind of similar to what Georgia and Ohio State was last year. I think they're going to go back and forth. I think this has every potential in the world to be a high-scoring game, and they're just going to be throwing the ball all over the place. Like this is going to be like both quarterbacks are going to have well over 300 yards passing. I think this is going to be an air raid kind of game. Like, and I'm beyond excited for this matchup.
It's gonna be a fun game. Michigan took care of business against Iowa, and I'll share this because I think Justin enjoyed it a lot. He sent it to our Instagram group chat. Donovan Edwards was having a fun time at this. I guess it was a basketball game.
Oh yeah.
And Justin said we need to drug test all these Michigan players.
Yep.
Living right now.
Oh, I'm blessed, baby. I can't, man. I'm excited to be out here in the hometown in Detroit, Michigan,
Look
watching
at his
this
face.
beautiful game with my boys. We all looking sexy out here, man.
Pause. We all looking sexy out here, man. Look at them.
They need to keep their media guy with them everywhere and be like, "Hey, you want to do an interview?" No, he is not doing an interview.
Yeah.
No, this was a really bad move on their part. They're luckily it's like it was kept like at a minimum and just like getting some grief over social media because this was not a good look, in my opinion. I mean, I get it, he's having fun, but you can clearly tell there's a substance that's playing in there that shouldn't be playing in right now during this time of year. So, but hey, college is college.
You're playing, man. We are great.
You guys are looking good. There's no question about it. I think about you last year.
They looking sexier than me. I can't. I know the dress code today. Hey, hold on. Get my boy Chain right here. My boy Rod, Mr. Ohio, who saved the day, who blinging out right now.
Oh my God!
And you also see how like none of those teammates are actually looking at the camera. They're like, "Oh, nah."
They're like, I can't let
bro. Why did you say yes to this interview?
I ain't gonna get caught lacking. Nah, man. Like them boys.
Yeah. I can't let Coach see me. Joey's asking. Joey's asking if we're gonna go on in the off season, guys. I think we have a solid interest here to go do some off season recruiting episodes. I think we can.
I'm down to do some.
Yeah,
I'm down to do some.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it going. The portal's wild. I mean, there's not gonna be a lack of players entering in and out. There's not gonna be a lack of news. So, I definitely want to do that and work on. I might even do some writing if I can. I'd like to work on my sports writing. But yeah. What were you gonna say, Davis?
I was gonna say. As a public information officer, my job is to speak on behalf of the county, speak on behalf of our professionals in the county that work for our local government. I will say that pained me. That pained me in a way watching that student give that interview. If I'm like the student information director or something like that, I'm pissed. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? No, why wasn't I there? I would have never allowed you to do that interview because, and that's honestly one of my dream jobs. Is like, of course, I feel like lately I've had a couple of different dream jobs. I think it'd be cool to be like the professional PR guy for a professional sports team or for like a big name college. Like it's a good paying job, but also it's like an extremely important job. PR is everything. Right. And so you have this guy who looks stoned out of his mind, obviously having a great time and not really committing any fouls here. Like he's having a good time.
Red, man. His eyes weren't red. He definitely hit the eye drops beforehand. That's good.
Hey,
that's good.
Hey, you know what? And you know what? He's not really doing anything wrong. He's just having a good time with his buddies. Everyone else is like, fuck no. But
He's like, we
this is where
sexy.
you have to have your PR guy there, and it's like, no, our guys, like, you don't have to say it, but our guys are too messed up to do an interview.
Coach, why can't I say we sexy? We sexy, coach. All right.
Any schools out there that need an information director, you can give me a call. I love you, Escambia County, though.
I think Oklahoma State needs one after their debacle here. Warning, I'm going to share this. This might be a graphic to some viewers.
Oof.
Yep. Oklahoma State, before their game,
this is bad.
or the Big 12 game with the Texas Longhorns,
For Bevo's cousin,
actually murdered a Longhorn. A dead Longhorn was found on the front yard of the fraternity house at OK State this morning. I wonder what frat that was.
It was farmhouse.
Farmhouse.
It was farmhouse.
Yeah. Oh, farmhouse? Okay.
It was farmhouse.
Okay.
So it's kind of ironic, but yeah, it was farmhouse.
Yeah. Well, they just have those, I guess. Yeah. So this
Yeah,
is
but like,
this is bad luck. I'm going to take this off too.
That was inhumane. Just like, who approved that? Who whose idea was that? Well, I get it. Like, frats, there's crazy stories and wild things, but and that's usually kept behind scenes. But like, to put that out there publicly, that's bizarre.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it said "fuck."
That's
it had
bizarre.
"fuck Texas" branded on the side of it.
It did.
Yeah,
but like, that's just.
I mean, obviously, and like Robert and I can attest to this. You know, like, fraternities are going to commit. We're going to do pranks, but you have to take it. You have to understand when it goes too far, right? And sometimes you might do something and be like, "Ooh, that, you know what? Yeah, maybe that was like not what I wanted to do. That was little too far." But it's not as far as murdering a farm animal and putting it in the grass of another campus and carving. Like, that was work. Like, that took work. And what's really unfortunate is I wonder if pledges had to do that. And that's even worse.
But what frat has pledges at that time of year? Like, usually, like, initiation period is like way past. Like, it's been 3 months.
It could have been some first year guys who still feel like they have something to prove.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a rough one.
It's just bad.
It's just disgusting. And Oklahoma State, you got what you deserved after your university. Fraternity at your university does something like that. I understand it doesn't speak for the whole university, but damn it, you took it too far. And Oklahoma, or not Oklahoma, and Texas showed you why you don't do something.
Yeah,
for Bevo's cousin.
And you know, that's examples, and that's stuff that'll get a chapter shut down, right? Like, and I don't do this near as much anymore, but like
nationally,
when I graduated, I would every now and then remind our ATO chapter at West Florida, like, you know, like, it's really simple. It's really simple to get kicked off campus. You do something, actually, and this was like during cancel culture, you do something even as look at somebody wrong, you could get kicked off campus. I was like, so like, think about like killing an animal and putting it on their property and be like, oh yeah, here you go. Yeah, rah. Like, was it worth it? No, it's never worth it.
Yeah, it's bad idea. Bad idea too. Probably, I mean, good reason you gave those speeches. Probably why one of our chapter is probably one of the only fraternities that stayed on campus consistently since we've been gone. To be honest,
wouldn't have seen that. Honestly, when you and I joined, you probably wouldn't have seen that because there, you know, obviously there was a whole lot of shit going on.
Yeah,
it had quite the nickname, didn't it?
Yeah, but you know, that was before us. People lay the foundation. You know, you keep going older back, and the guys who get older and older, they go, yeah, but that's what we did back in the day, and that's how it was. But now it just
check the chat.
The narrative has been changed. The narrative has been changed.
Check the private chat though.
I didn't know that. That's well, I'm off Facebook right now, so I can't. My Facebook is also suspended, so I can't view the.
Hence why I forgot your birthday. Sorry, dude. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. No, it's fine. Everyone, if you don't have a Facebook, no one remembers your birthday. That solidified my conspiracy.
I used to remember your birthday though, like
because it was just like 5 days before. But like, and no one knows your birthday Facebook just reminds them. If anyone had to know, wanted to know, that's what happens.
But you notice I eventually remembered, oh, wait, your birthday passed. So I hit you up, like not having Facebook remind me. I just remembered, oh, crap, I forgot your birthday.
That's okay. I celebrated it watching the Florida State game at my buddy's wedding, swiftly kicking cups off the table of the tailgate TV table that I was watching it on. This is just crazy. Iowa finished the season with 3,123 offensive yards and 4,156 punting yards.
I love this stat so much. Like, I love this stat so much. I still kick myself that I did not take the under, which, by the way, betting is allowed in Florida again legally. But I was kicking myself. I didn't take the under when Iowa played not in the Big Ten championship, but before, when it was like 26.5 points and the unders still hit. What was I thinking not taking that?
Do you know what game? I had a 10 leg, $10 parlay for conference championship weekend. I missed one game.
Oh no!
Fucking Toledo.
Fucking
Toledo.
Toledo, man.
Toledo.
The MAC strikes again.
They were favored by 300, bro. Fucking Toledo. I would have won $2,000. Would have won fucking $2,000. I fucking chose Toledo, and they lost.
We were all on Toledo.
I missed one game. Toledo.
To be fair, that was a close game. We even talked about it on the pod. We said Toledo won earlier in the year, but it was a close game. Miami of Ohio comes out, wins, and they got a halfway decent bowl game too. Which we'll look at.
Toledo.
Sorry, dude. It happens. It happens, man. It happens. But yeah, Davis, you might be kicking yourself for not taking under, but you're not kicking yourself as far as Iowa's kicked this season. Moving on. This is an interesting development in just the overall framework of how NIL works. The NCAA president, Charlie Baker, sent a letter to schools today proposing the creation of a new FBS subdivision that would allow schools to directly compensate student athletes.
Yep, here we go.
I mean, and it seems like this is happening. Like, this is definitely happening. I'll be honest with you. I haven't read enough into this to know exactly what goes into this. So if I say anything wrong with somebody listening and they're like, oh no, Davis, like, you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to the subject, then you're warned. I have not looked enough into this. I guess right off the top of my head, where's the money coming from? Is it all coming from like TV deals? I've heard they've been calling this Division 0, where like this may include only like the big name schools, not necessarily the smaller schools. I don't know enough personally, so I think there are questions I have that are not answered simply because I haven't done any homework on this.
Yep. So how do you get in the league? Is James Madison, after getting into Division 1 and barely making a bowl game this season, are they gonna have to be like, hey, wait, we're not in the big leagues anymore?
Is FBS going to turn into FCS, and then like you're going to have like Major League College Football, where that's going to consist of everyone in the SEC, maybe minus Vanderbilt, and
the Big Ten, yeah.
The huge Big Ten, ACC, like, is this gonna, and then like all the other schools that, like Sun Belt, the AAC, the MAC, like all those schools are now just FBS on their own. Like they might as well start their own playoff at this point, if that's what it's gonna be.
That's just so dumb. Like, because then we don't get as many opportunities to see like the App States beating A&Ms or the Marshalls beating Notre Dames. Like, there's a reason why we have that, because if the reason why games like that are able to happen, where Marshall beats Notre Dame, is because Marshall's an FBS school. It's a whole different, like, FCS is still D1, and you can still say you play D1. But when it comes to recruiting, FBS is a whole different level, and it's very obvious. Like, everyone knows it. So if there is, once again, another level now where that puts schools like the App States, the JMUs, the Marshalls, Boise State puts them down a peg, then like it kind of like that ruins their recruiting to be decently good top 25 teams that we see.
Hey, I got a quick question. This is related, but whenever you think about like the best college football era, like, and we're all young here, but like what like game stands out to you? Like for me, the best game that stands out for me, like college football was like prime awesome, was like Texas and USC, the '05 national championship game. Like
I was
you
4.
have no NIL. Yeah, you were 4 years old, right? So like, you have no NIL. Like you have you know Reggie Bush like lost his Heisman because of what was going on that year. It's like, but you had you didn't have a whole lot of players transferring, like because if they did, they had to sit out an entire year. I was like, there was no such thing as the portal. I was like, to me, like that was when college football was extremely competitive. Players were staying all 4 years most of the time. I think those days are far gone, and I'm curious to see like generations moving forward how they're going to view college football as like their glory day of watching the game.
It's completely it's a race. Like so we were going to get into this probably later, but we can kind of like segue into it now. Every single year in college football, once your season comes to an end, or even before your season comes to an end, it's technically a free agency free for all. Every player, every team, free agency for everybody.
And it's more of a free for all than a free agency, too. Because at least if you're a free agent, you can sign a contract for a year or two.
That's the thing. You just have to go play for 1 year. And then like, oh, I want to go to this place now, whether it be for money, whether it be for playing time. Look at JT Daniels, 4 different schools, right? That is
DJU. He's about to be going through his third school. Yeah,
this is what the problem is becoming. And I've said this since 2 years ago. I said this. I said, when do we start finding a way to limit or contract this to where players have to sign a certain amount of deals, whether it be, I have to play my last 2 years here, or I have to play at least 2 years here, or what? There's this opened up a whole big can of worms. I said this all the time, and now it's coming to light that this is going to be what happens. And that's just, it's I don't like the way that this is developing. And when you mentioned college football in its best era, my mind is like 2012 to 2015, the kick six, that's like, I remember where I was when the kick six happened. I remember the feeling of when the kick six happened. I remember like it was just a raw purity moment. I remember when Ole Miss beat Bama at Bama. I remember, Treadwell's catch off a tip, into the hands of Elijah, into the end zone they go, right? I remember all these things. That was what college football was to me. Like that's when I was 11, 12, 13. And that's when it really got me like feeling the passion for the game. So, of course, with age, comes different times and different stories and different experiences, which 2005, I think that makes a lot of sense for y'all. I look back on those games and I think those are really incredible moments.
Don't let me in there. I mean, obviously that's a great college football classic game, USC and Texas.
No, I'm just agreeing with Davis's mindset there. Like that is a classic game where it completely makes sense. But like the 2014 playoffs, the first year, Jameis's fumble against Oregon, they go into the end zone.
Rudy and I, we were in Indianapolis for an ATO conference when that game was going on.
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott running down the sideline, not being caught in the Sugar Bowl, putting out Bama in the first ever one, right? And stuff like that. And that was what like college football is to me, and it's completely evaporated.
I think we're in a growing pains moment right here. Like what happened? Athletes weren't getting paid and they were being exploited by the NCAA. And now we have athletes who are getting paid, rightfully so. And we have an NCAA that's doing everything it can to not just absolutely nullify itself and turn into ash. So things are moving in the right direction. Are there growing pains right now? Yeah. Is it kind of the wild, wild west? Yeah. But that's what happens, man. And I think you don't panic and say we need something to regulate all this. Maybe you do need a little bit of that, but let it be a system where the schools who are competing in the same league agree on the same rules. Don't let one arbitrary bureaucratic institution like the NCAA come in and say, "Here's your cap. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do," because they're gonna fuck it all up. And not to say that it's not fucked up in some way, but right now, we got one of the best playoffs I've seen in my lifetime in college.
Yes, this is the
Oh,
best
yeah.
one. This is the best
Oh, yeah.
one by a mile. I mean, the committee finally got it right. Like like I said, when it came to this, it took guts. You had to nut up because you knew that this was like what they had to do. They had to hurt some feelings, and they hurt a whole state capital's feelings in Tallahassee.
And you know what? As far as the moments and what we're talking about here, the essence of college football is tradition, history, moments, right? Like that's why it's better than pro football, in my opinion, to watch entertainment wise. It's because of all that rivalries. That still happens. That miracle that happened at Jordan-Hare Stadium. You can
God, I forgot about that one. That was such a good one.
I was in Gainesville. I was in a bar in Gainesville, by the way, when that happened.
The prayer of Jordan-Hare is what it's called. The prayer of Jordan-Hare.
Yeah, or the Milrow Miracle, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, okay, no, that one. Okay, that was
some
the prayer of Jordan-Hare was one of the best.
I was in Gainesville though when that happened.
I'm talking about this year. This year, some Auburn kid's going to look back at that and hate Alabama because of it. And some Alabama kid's going to remember that as one of the greatest moments he's ever witnessed. So I think college football is going to keep trucking. Now, we'll see what they do with this whole idea that we just talked about.
Horrible.
But I think college football is college football.
I think it was perfected, right? It was perfect. I think, in my opinion, it was perfected until greed became a substance into the equation. And that's what ruins everything. Greed always ruins everything. Am I right? Like, greed always ruins everything, whether that be the NIL deals, whether it be players, whether it be schools, and now the conferences. Like, it just ruins everything. But before money was a part of this, it was perfect. We loved it. We got the SEC with Oklahoma and Texas, and we're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, we're cool with that. And then it was a domino effect. It just kind of rippled out, and we saw just a whole different change of the entire scenario of college football. And that it sucks because you want this to be a perfect equation. But now we're going to go through the next 5 or 6 years of change after change after change after change. And it's going to be a while until we see something get set in stone, because there's going to be so many different variables that they now have to fix, whether it be the conferences, whether it be now the playoffs, and whether it now be NIL. There's a lot of problems that they've opened up just in these past 2 years.
Ayn Rand might say that greed's a good thing, and like I'm saying, like these players deserve to get paid. These players deserve to get paid. We got 5 people watching live. If you're watching live, drop a like and subscribe to the podcast. We're trying to work on getting our new College Football Extravaganza channel some more followers on YouTube. So help us out there. But I mean, it is the Wild Wild West. We have like over 1,000 players in the transfer portal, and that kind of brings me to this. Got to give a Florida Gator update. There were murmurs early this week and last week. Trevor Etienne, he is hitting the transfer portal, and that's a major loss for Bill.
Not a surprise. I felt like his brother hinted towards that.
Earlier in the year, he was like, "Yeah, go play for Prime." He's not getting.
Wouldn't that be funny if Dabo's first big transfer pool was his brother? It would make sense, but like Dabo hates the portal, right? All right. Trevor Etienne's like, hey, or Travis Etienne's like, hey, man, Trevor's going to hit it, man. You pick him up, get that portal rolling, get back ball and back in Clemson, South Carolina, man. Like, you wish that could be a situation for them, right? But this sucks for Florida.
This is a major blow for Florida. And, like Montreal's good. Like, people are saying it's huge. It's a huge blow. Like, we have a good running back room without Etienne, but he's by far the best guy. You should keep him. He's not as good as a pass at pass blocking as Montreal is, but man, are we gonna miss that? It sucks, but he mainly wanted to win. And looking at Florida's schedule next year and looking at how things are going, I mean, half of Billy's original class has transferred now. And DJ not Uyunglele, but DJ Umami Ellen also transferring. He wore the number 1 for the Gators on D line. He was having talks of him going to the NFL. Now he's in the transfer portal from D line. So got a bunch of players leaving.
This is like what goes back to my point earlier. These players don't really have to, like, they're not exactly just leaving. Like, they're just exploring their options. Who wouldn't? If there's a better option out there, why wouldn't I take it?
And I said DJ, I meant Princely. I didn't mean to say DJ, Princely.
But like, it's like they can do this now whenever they want. It doesn't mean that they're leaving. We could still ETNs could still come back, but with the caliber player that he is, he will probably find a more likable situation for him somewhere out there. I'd have to say than Florida. But I mean, this is what I'm getting into. Like, why is every player not just going ahead and hitting the portal? I mean, the only teams that we haven't seen have players hit the portal is the one competing for national championships and playoffs, for the simple fact of they're not going to do that yet because they're still competing for a ring. And even after they could win a ring, there's still going to be players that hit the portal to try and find better situations or better money. It's going to be free agency every single year. This is like the whole problem. I mean, we're to the point where guys are almost opting out of playoff games, which is bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. If you're chasing that bag and you got a first round rookie contract staring you right in the face, that's a tough decision to make. Me personally, I don't know. If I'm playing for a team and we got a shot at something, I'm playing the game. I'm trying to stick with it, but I've never been in that situation. So I don't know. I can't weigh those options. Chris McClellan, another Gator D lineman heading to the transfer portal. Florida State targeted him, just offered him today. Very quick. So the portal's open for a couple of days, and these guys are already getting offers. Florida's not seeing many transfers coming in saying they're going there. So things are happening fast. There's definitely tampering going. There's definitely behind the scenes. Players are on Twitter going, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving," and then schools are hitting them up behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, because they can. There's no logistics, no rules. There's no contract. There's no structure to this right now. That's the problem. That's why Saban had that whole rant about JSU and whatnot, because there's just no structure. Like, it's free range. It's a free for all. Like, and you know the saying, all is fair in love and war, right? This is the perfect example of it, man. Like, if you don't put a law out there that certain things can't happen, people are going to take whatever advantage they can, because football is like crack cocaine to some of these damn schools.
I think Dion had it right, and I think this might be a silver lining with the schools being able to pay the players. If you do move to this sort of format, you can contract with people. You can say, "Hey, give us a year, and you have to give us a year, maybe 2. You have to give us 2 years if you're committed to us, and we'll pay you this amount." I think that's a good thing. That could be a possibility in the future with this system, because if you got guys who are just coming in, getting money here and there, take the Nebraska, what's his name? Jeff Sims, who's been bouncing around everywhere, can't throw a damn ball, fumbling the ball everywhere. He's making money just getting in and out of the transfer portal.
It's a business at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, like Magoo saying in the chat, like, if I'm a school and I can work it into a contract, I might even say, hey, if we win 10 or more games, you are contractually obligated to play in a bowl game. Or I might say, hey, if you play in the bowl game, you'll get a bonus. You'll get this amount of money. Some incentive for these players to play in these games, right? That we used to cut, like the Orange Bowl used to be like, damn, we made it to the Orange Bowl. Now it's like, damn, I got to play in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it's growing pains, but I think it'll work itself out. Hopefully in a good way. And players are getting paid now. So we got to remember that's a good thing. But Florida, man, you're losing a lot of guys, and you do have to make room. You do have to make room if you're going to make some moves in the transfer portal. You got a lot of guys coming in. But you lost this guy, Jordan Seaton, who was the number 1 lineman in the country. he was looking like Florida was there for him. Lost him to Colorado today, so there goes one of your O linemen that you were looking at.
The time has come. Jordan Seaton.
And if you look here, Oregon, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State. That was his top 5. Colorado comes in and steals this guy.
Next year you will attend.
Here's what he has to say.
Which school?
First off, I would like to thank God, my family.
Skip is so fucking
everybody who's been in this recruiting process for me. You know, it's been a long one, not an easy one, but those who've been with me and stuck with me, seeing how we persevere when times get hardest. But for the next 3 to 4 years.
For the next 1 to 2 years.
Uh-oh. What's in the bag seat?
What's in the bag seat?
I'll be going to
Wait a minute.
the University of Colorado.
He's a Buffalo. Coach Enough has been said.
Michael Irvin's going crazy here.
The handstands.
Woo! Hey. Oh my God. Listen, Dion text me.
Yeah, so basically he goes on to say, no, I wanted to play for someone that looks like me. So obviously Dion being one of the high profile coaches had a lot to do with it. Also him being a black coach had a lot to do with it. So I mean, yeah, you can't you gotta respect that. I mean, I understand what Colorado's trying to do out there. I understand what Dion's trying to do and build that kind of culture. And this is the kind of swing that Dion has at Colorado. It's stealing the number 1 offensive lineman coming out of high school from top 5 programs, talking about Alabama, talking about Ohio State. Florida was in the mix. Now they're not. And this was the first time Dion heard about it. And they also said, Shedeur Sanders was the most sacked quarterback last year. And Jordan Seaton says that's never going to happen ever again. So you got a good guy there coming in. Nothing else to say. I mean, I don't know. Dion's doing something in Colorado. I just wonder how long he stays there. And if he goes somewhere else, is he going to bring his Louis with him again?
Well, he's got to have success. He's got to have success first. I mean, he got off to a great start in Colorado.
We were having the time of our lives the first 3 weeks of the year. The time of our lives.
I still love it. I mean, I like when Colorado's good. We'll see what they do next year. I don't know, man. This one sucked, though. That's another loss for the Gators. 4-8 ain't great. I mean, Florida State guys, y'all are going to hate on Colorado all you want. They won 3 more games than they did last year. And they played in a tough Pac-12. I didn't see the Pac-12 being as tough as it was this year. I mean, you're talking about Arizona. Arizona killed it. Yeah, you called Washington being good. I mean, we knew Oregon. We knew Washington, USC, and Oregon were going to be good, but did we put any stock into Arizona? I mean, maybe UCLA, but UCLA didn't even they were good. They weren't outstanding. I would say Utah. I guess Utah was good. I don't know. I feel like if we go back and watch it, we were all excited for the Pac-12. We were excited for Colorado too, though. I'm still excited for them. They're a young team, kind of like the Gators, a very young team.
They'll compete a lot better next year in the Big 12. Especially if Oklahoma and Texas leaving. I mean, the Big 12 is wide open. It could be Oklahoma State, but when it comes to it's just gonna be a lot more fun competition with the Cincinnati, the Houston, the UCF for Colorado now, even the BYU. That's gonna be a lot more fun for them to play with, and I think it's gonna be a lot more enjoyable for Colorado and Colorado's fans, and even Dion to be like, yeah, we're coming.
Some other transfers, Cam Ward, you might have heard from him out of the Pac-12, out of Washington State.
He's going to Ohio State. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
he's going to Ohio State. Is that what's going on right now?
That him or Malik Murphy would be one or the other.
Malik Murphy,
Marvin Harrison is still apparently up in the air about going to the draft.
Really?
Apparently, that's what he was saying today, is that, he would give it all to just get a win versus the team up north.
That's what I'm talking about. People like Marvin, if he comes back purely to get a win over Michigan, that's not all hope is not lost for me. I'm just saying, guys.
Losing that game 3 years in a row, you do not. I mean, that's just like unheard of going to Ohio State nowadays. You don't go to Ohio State and leave without a win against that team. But
and with Cam Ward, that I think you got a good quarterback there. Kyle McCord's entering the transfer portal, so
even
obviously some moves are happening. Or Malik Murphy, yeah, he's good too.
Julian Fleming also left, which he was supposed to be. Each year Ohio State has the next guy up, right? Like we had Chris Olave, which then turned into Garrett Wilson, and then which turned into Jackson Smith and Jigba, which turned into Marvin Harrison Jr., which is now supposed to turn into Julian Fleming. Like, this is how this is built and built and built. Every year, Ohio State has the number one guy, and they have another one just as good, ready to go next year.
Brock Vandergriff, Georgia quarterback with Carson Beck coming back. He's going to Kentucky, so Kentucky's reloaded their quarterback with a Georgia quarterback. And then also DJU might follow his head coach from Oregon State to Michigan State. Jonathan Smith obviously out at Oregon State. Oregon State left pretty much conferenceless. Now Michigan State, do they pick up DJU or does DJU go to Florida State? Where do we think he goes? Where does he land? That's an interesting thing to watch because he's a playmaker. He's obviously a game changer.
I think. Well, there's rumors of USC, but also Dylan Gabriel being in the transfer portal, USC. I think Dylan Gabriel would be better at USC than DJ. I don't think DJ's that good, personally. I think that he is so inconsistent. He had a decent year at Oregon State. He had a better year at Oregon State than he did at Clemson. I mean, I would go for Dylan Gabriel over DJ personally. I don't know. I think that DJ could either go to even somewhere like UCLA because Dante Moore, he transferred out or is in the portal at least. I could see
DJ, wanting some revenge, man, and going to Florida State. Revenge would be a factor. Who do you get to play? You get to play Clemson every single year. He's got one more year. Maybe he goes back and beats Dabo. That would be a good storyline for me.
I think like I said, I've had DJ on my radar to FSU since that one's come out. I think it's a good fit. And I mean, if the storyline's there, it looks fun. I don't see why not.
I think so too. You're right about Dante Moore leaving UCLA too. I'm very curious who UCLA gets. Dylan Gabriel also leaving. That's another guy. Played for UCF, played for Oklahoma. Now next year he's going to be somewhere else.
And by the way, Dylan Gabriel was supposed to go to UCLA, and then he went to Oklahoma instead.
Maybe it winds up there. There's so many transfers here.
I also think that someone like Dylan Gabriel doesn't have to leave Oklahoma. He doesn't have to, but I think if you can do it, you decide to leave because then maybe an alumni or somebody like that in Oklahoma would be like, yo, I'm going to give you a shit ton of money to stay. He'll be like, all right, I'm going to stay because that's exactly what I was hoping for.
Yep. And this is from Nebraska. Coach Matt Rule. Obviously, they have their own quarterback issues here. This is what he had to say about it.
Someone who can make a difference. Make no mistake that a good quarterback in the portal costs $1 million to $1.5 million to $2 million right now. So just on the same page, right? So let's make sure we all understand what's happening.
He's talking about. He's like, hey, y'all are paying for this. Just letting y'all know.
There's some teams that have $6 or $7 million players playing for them. So we just kind of believe in doing things like the old school way, the hard way, building. But that doesn't mean we won't look at people in the portal. It's just we did it last year, right? It just means They have to be clearly an impact player for us if they're like a 1-year player, or they have to be someone that has multiple years to get in our program and develop. So,
And that's pretty good insight. Here are the factors we're looking for if we're getting you in the transfer portal. You got you're a grad guy and you can make an immediate impact, or you're going to give us some years. And it's going to cost us money. So,
money.
All right. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but the Heisman's coming up. We alluded to it earlier. It's this Saturday. Obviously, you got pretty much 3 or 4 finalists: Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., and Marvin Harrison Jr. All of which deserving of accolades and whatnot. I said a couple weeks ago I think Jaden Daniels is going to get it. I still think Jaden Daniels is going to get it. He's by and far the favorite, as Justin mentioned earlier. Bo Nix and Michael Penix, they're both really good. I think Jaden Daniels, the stats are just far and away. He's blowing them out of the water. And I don't care if they stat padded him, whatever. He's doing things that are absolutely insane as far as stats go. And we're probably not going to see anything like it in the near future.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
I mean, basically, like I do think that Jaden Daniels is going to win. I was hoping Bo Nix would have a good enough game last week to make him at least compete and be perhaps the guy that's going to win it all. And I think that in the second half of the game in Oregon-Washington, he did have it, but he didn't get that last shot to win the game. And I think after that, despite Penix having a good game, it was enough for Jaden Daniels to win. I think Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman, and I don't think I have been wrong about the Heisman in forever. By the way, so I think Jaden Daniels is going to win.
You're saying you're like a Heisman predictor, like?
Well, yeah. I mean, most years it's obvious who's going to win the Heisman. Most years it's obvious. Although, Justin, I think there was one year where you thought the year that Kyler Murray won.
No, I was just defending Dwayne Haskins out my
ass. You were like, Dwayne Haskins is going to win. I was like, no way.
That was my first year at ESPN, and I was defending Dwayne Haskins out my fucking ass, dude. Dude, you saw me on every Heisman post from SportsCenter to Fox to ESPN on social media in the comments going hard on some guys. Like I was throwing numbers like crazy. Like you think I know stats now? The stats I knew back then were wild. It was crazy. I was going hard back then. But no, it was obvious Kyler was going to win. Like it was obvious. And basically, I mean, how it's going to go would like the final odds for Heisman favorites came out after the season end, right? Who's on top? Jaden Daniels. And there's a reason why the guy who's second in odds is plus 1,600, because it'd be like the only way Jaden Daniels doesn't win this thing is some damn fake girlfriend dies.
Man, shout out.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Nobody.
I understand. I mean, I'm all for defensive
Johnny
guys.
Manziel won that year too.
Yeah,
correct.
That was
a wild class. That was a wild class.
Good documentary on Manti Te'o, by the way.
Is that a Netflix documentary? Because I still need to watch it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the Untold.
It's good.
Untold does so many good documentaries.
Honestly, it literally, because of that documentary, Manti Te'o was able to show his face at Notre Dame again, because it like put things in perspective. It was like, oh, like this guy literally was duped.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could happen to the best of us.
It's just like Jaden Daniels is going to win. Like it's like hands down. Like you can put your house on it. You know, get some money back probably. But
I just might.
Yeah, you know, it's that's just how it goes. Once Vegas speaks. Like if there's something that people can always say, they like sports odds like controls in sports, it's Heisman and the first overall pick. Like once odds are out for those, it's untouched. It is untouched.
So the strategy is is put that money in the house on Jaden Daniels, win the Heisman, turn that into Bitcoin, and then play Plinko. That's going to be the new financial strategy going into 2024.
Plinko. What we were talking about something else right before this. What were we talking about?
Transfer portal. Just transfer portal.
Transfer portal.
DJU.
DJU.
Basically, quarterbacks entering in the transfer portal. That's what we were looking at here.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it was. Sorry, we didn't make a point about this at all. We have to make a pick. We have a game this week.
Go Navy. Beat Army.
Go Navy.
So we're all taking Navy. All right, cool. So it doesn't really matter. Should I take Army then? So like to help my record.
I mean, I'll take Army. I think Army's gonna win.
Well, no,
this game is fun no matter what.
Is this counting against our record or not? Is it counting against our record or not?
Hell no.
I think it should.
I think we should.
I'm taking Army.
It's a regular season game.
You're taking Army?
Yeah, I'll take Army. I'll take Army. I'm wearing Army.
Davis, who you taking?
I got Navy. I got Navy. Let's go.
You got Navy? All right. I got
I'll put my
Navy.
nuts on the table. Let's go.
What? Shot game. Yeah,
Navy.
shot game for next time.
Dude, shot game, easiest shot game in the world. But also, like, this game, it doesn't matter what. One team could be 10-0, the other team could be 0-10. And this game is still going to be like a 13-14 final.
And they're both competing for a bowl game, both coming in at 5 and 6. They'll go into Gillette looking to hit a bowl game. Who will send little bro home? That is the question that we'll all find out. Bill Belichick's a guest picker, too.
Bill Belichick is the guest picker on College Game Day.
It's Gillette Stadium.
Like, that's tune-in money, baby. Like, that's never going to happen again.
And you know he's going to take Navy. He used to coach at Navy.
Absolutely.
He will take Navy. Let's see this here. Yeah. What's the over under here? 27.5.
Yeah. Give
say-
me the under, dude. Give me the under. They're going to run the shit out of that ball. That triple option, you're never going to see a better triple option in your life.
So you're taking the under.
I say the under hits. We all do shots first off, and then
Okay, hold on. All right, I
feel like we're all doing shots no matter what.
I said we get 2 locks. We each get 2 locks out of this. You get to choose under, over, and you get to choose your cover.
Oh, okay.
Get 2 locks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Army covering, and I'll go under.
Okay, Davis.
I got the under, Navy covering.
All right, I got Navy covering and the overs hitting because if I get those both right, that will put me in great position. But if I get wrong,
no. You're saying you get 2 games out of this one game. No, you still just get 1 game.
What?
Yeah, 2. It's a double shot game. No, you're not. I'm putting my foot down. You're not getting 2 games out of this one game.
But you could get 2. You could get 2 games out of this.
No. It's not happening like that.
Because think about it. If you're right, like let's say that you go 2-0, and I that means I go 0-2, meaning you put yourself 2 games in front of me.
No, we're not doing that because the whole season, we've never done it.
He's scared.
The whole season, we've never done that, and we have the bowl season. We have games to pick each week for the bowl season. I'm not scared. We're gonna go into the bowl season. By the way, if you're following this, if you're watching this right now, go find us on the ESPN Capital One Bowl Mania Bowl Pick'em, and you can join us on that. Joey, you can be a double champ. You can be a double champ of the season.
He's scared.
I'm not scared. I'm going to win the bowl pick'em.
He's scared.
I'm going to win the bowl pick'em.
He's so scared.
Justin has narrowed his he was behind by 7 games.
Y'all saw me lock in. Right there. I said, wow.
Yeah, you did what you had to do.
I did.
You came back.
Work.
You're tied with me. I think we're both 1 or 2 games behind Davis now.
We are two games behind Davis.
So.
It is well within its reach.
And y'all are going to stay behind me.
Yeah, well, we'll see. There's a lot of bowl games that we're going to take.
Every time I've ever heard him say something confident and cocky like that, it bit him in the ass. I did too much radio with this guy to not know this one.
It's okay. I got to stay confident. I got to stay confident.
Okay. Now, before we leave, I do want to ask this. We're not going to pick every single bowl game, right?
I really
the app.
The app's cool, but when it comes to our record,
right?
I think our final record games, like we do 6 locks, it's do your 6 bowls, and that is it. And then I don't know, like we could do the national championship game if it's close. That's fine with me. But I think our final records should be based off the New Year's Six bowls.
Yeah, and then I'll probably add a couple like good bowl game. Like if there's a good bowl game, we'll probably do a pick 'em.
Ones that are worth talking about.
Right.
Is there really anything to talk about though? That's the thing.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if a bunch of players are out, then we won't pick it. How about that? If like it's gonna be a nothing, if like one team's definitely gonna win, we won't do that. But yeah, New Year's Sixes for sure. All right, with that, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, share it, tell your friends about College Football Extravaganza. We love growing this community, and thank you guys for sticking with us this whole season. Actually, we got 2 former ESPN college football analysts here. They're awesome. They're here late at the odd ends of the night, just turning up for the college football community. So grow us, we'll get big, and who knows where we can take this? Maybe to the national championship one day.
Let's go. I would love to go. Let's do it.